I invite Chlöe Swarbrick to withdraw and apologise for an offensive comment made in the House yesterday.
I won't be doing that, Mr. Speaker.
Then the member will leave the House. No, the member will leave the House. Sorry, there's not a point of order at this point. The member refusing to leave the House. I therefore name Chlöe Swarbrick. The question is that Chlöe Swarbrick, Chlöe Swarbrick be named. Those in favour will say aye. Aye. The contrary? No. The ayes have it. No. A party vote is called for.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand.
15 votes opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
11 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Te Pāti Māori.
5 votes opposed.
The ayes are 68, the noes are 54, the motion is agreed. The member will leave the House. A point of order, the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Mr. Speaker, 2 points of order, but I think perhaps the first is the one that most urgently needs to be addressed as to what the House has just voted on. The standing orders are actually quite specific about a motion to suspend a member and the words that you need to use as Speaker in order to do so. You haven't, I believe, followed the requirements of the standing orders. So I wonder whether you could indicate to us what the motion that the House just voted on actually was, because if it was the one that you spoke, it doesn't have the effect that you think it does.
Well, in that case, I'll put it again. That Chlöe Swarbrick be suspended from the service of the House. Those in favour will say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. No. The ayes have it. A party vote is called for. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand.
15 votes opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
11 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Te Pāti Māori.
5 votes opposed.
The ayes are 68, the noes are 54, the motion is agreed. My apologies to the House for getting that wrong in the pedantics of the word that are required. It's not a usual thing for a matter like this to happen. The Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Mr. Speaker, I've been in the House quite a long time, and there have been plenty of instances where members have been ejected from the chamber for the rest of the day for doing exactly what Chlöe Swarbrick did. There's not a single instance where a member has been asked to withdraw and apologise the following sitting day and then named for not doing that. There has only been one instance that I can recall where a member was subsequently asked to withdraw a comment. That was the Right Honourable John Key when he said that members of the opposition supported rapists and murderers. At the time, he received a standing ovation from the National Party. That was a very controversial matter, and it was at least a week later that the Speaker asked him to withdraw and apologise in order to restore order in the House, which had been lost. I think what the naming of a member for something they had done the day before is not something that has ever happened in the House before. I wonder whether you can reflect on what precedent or standing order you're relying on in asking Chlöe Swarbrick to apologise for something the day before, because I did check the Speaker's rulings, and Jonathan Hunt back in 2001 specifically ruled that where a member refused to apologise and was ordered to leave the chamber by the Speaker, the matter is at an end at that point. So that has been the established practice of the House since 2001, and I wonder if you could indicate why that has changed.
Because the Standing Orders Committee met in July of 2017 and brought down a new Speaker's ruling 23-1. I'd refer the member to that.
Point of order.
Ricardo Mendes March.
Thank you so much. So,
In relationship to Speaker's Rulings 23.1, which is what the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins was speaking about, there's a line that says, where an incident may have a continued impact on the House's ability to deal with its business, the Speaker can address the matter. Is it your view that this meets that threshold?
If that's how the member wants to take it. But if you think about the comment that was made, 68 members of this House were accused of being spineless. There has never been a time when personal insults like that delivered inside a speech were accepted by this House, and I'm not about to start accepting it. Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, I've been in this House when a Prime Minister accused the opposition of getting some guts. It was a serious accusation, nothing happened. And then worse, I heard the C word being accepted as a language that can be used in this House. My personal view is that I don't agree with a thing that Chlöe Swarbrick said at all, but this is a robust House where people have a right to express their views as passionate as they may within certain rules, but I do not think that eviction was warranted. That's my position.
Well, let me just respond to that before I take the multitude of points of order that people want to raise. The first is there is considerable efforts being made at the moment across the parliamentary service to deal with what might be described as cyberbullying. And essentially what it comes down to is a question of what standard does the House want to set for itself? And I've decided that there are two things that can be looked at. One is if there are interjections across the House and they are reactionary, and there was one of those yesterday, then that is not as egregious as someone taking their speaking time to include a gratuitous insult inside a speech. That is, in my opinion, from this point on, while I'm in the chair, unacceptable. I take the point about the member makes about the House being a robust place. It most certainly is. But if members are going to be disrespectful of one another in such a demonstrable way, then how on earth can we be upset about members of the public taking a similar approach to dealing with MPs? Point of order, the Honourable Chair McAnulty.
Thank you very much, sir. Specifically around how this House approaches this matter in future, we recognise that speakers have the ability themselves to set new rulings, and in doing so often refer to standing orders which dictate the rules in which you as Speaker operate. Now, there is only one standing order that deals with disorderly conduct, Standing Order 90. And in that standing order, it makes very clear that you as Speaker have the ability to withdraw a member from the House up to 1 day. Now, yesterday, you suspended a member for the rest of the sitting week. That was then clarified that if the member did not apologise, they would be suspended again. We've gone from a situation where Standing Order 90 was not followed by you, and then we've moved on to a situation where you have proposed to the House that a member be named. Now, the difference between a member being withdrawn as highly disorderly and to being named as grossly disorderly. And I can't see how a member could be deemed to have gone from highly disorderly to grossly disorderly by complying with a rule that you set that was not consistent with standing orders.
Well, I don't agree with you that it wasn't consistent with standing orders. The bit that was inconsistent was what I actually said, which was leave the House for the week. What I left out is said, I probably should have said could be, but I accept that there was no bounds for that. But the fact that someone is asked to leave the House for a comment that has caused offence, and they do so for that day, does not mean that the offence has gone away. And that can be a new thing written into Speaker's rulings if that's what it takes. But in the end, my job is to make sure that this House is a House of representatives but deals respectfully with each other. And there is a huge difference between the sort of commentary that you get by way of interjection, which should be rare and has become far too frequent, and a comment that is inside a speech delivered deliberately to the House. Well, I'll hear his speech, his commentary to that point.
In regards to your reference to Speaker's Rulings 23.1, it does indeed give you as Speaker the ability to approach a matter retrospectively. But what you've just indicated now is that Speaker's Ruling 21.1 is no longer in place. So the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins outlined quite clearly, and this is the only Speaker's ruling in reference to a situation like this, is that once a member left the chamber, the matter is at an end. Now, in that instance that it's referring to, it was around filleted buncle, and it was almost exactly the situation that played out yesterday. And now, can you be very clear for the House that your ruling now is in direct contrast to this, and that 21.1, despite being in Speaker's rulings, is no longer relevant?
Well, it's interesting. You may point out a contradiction inside Speaker's rulings. That 23.1 was brought down by the Standing Orders Committee, so it was clearly considered. And if there had been a contradiction, I'm sure they would have recognised it at the time. Ricardo Mendes-March.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Having just heard the conversation, and particularly the Right Honourable Winston Peters' comments where he was commenting about that does not meet the threshold, I do want to ask whether there is a procedural way in which potentially that vote could be recast, seeing as we have just heard a government party disagree with the way that things occurred.
I'm not aware of one.
Mr. Speaker?
No, I didn't put it twice. Your leader made it very clear it hadn't been put. The Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Mr. Speaker, I was on the Standing Orders Committee when the ruling that you've just relied on was made, and I supported that ruling being made, and I actually do support the underlying, I guess, tone of the ruling that you're trying to make today around the need to increase the tone of some of the language in the House and the broader effect that has on the public tone of debate around politics. My concern here is that we seem to have gone from one extreme to another very quickly, only involving one member and not all members. There's some very inflammatory language that's used around the House quite a lot. One member seems to have been singled out for that. The ruling that you mentioned was made in reference to the Right Honourable John Key's very inflammatory comments during that speech. He was not asked to withdraw and apologise for that at the time, and nor was he asked to leave the chamber. In fact, he got a standing ovation from the then government members of the House. What then happened was almost all opposition members left the House because the Speaker refused to intervene. And it was on that basis that the Speaker subsequently came back to the House and asked him to withdraw and apologise sometime later. The disorder in the House was the justification for doing so, in the sense that the Speaker was trying to restore order in the House. The ruling that you just mentioned, that the Standing Orders Committee made, specifically states that the threshold should be very, very high for that type of action. Other than, there was no disorder in the House once Chlöe Swarbrick had left yesterday, nor was there any today. The very high threshold that was envisaged by the Standing Orders Committee at the time certainly does not appear to have been met in this instance.
Well, that's something that I have to make the judgment on. Can I just say, the special debate was allowed yesterday because this is an important matter. No question about that. It's also a matter that there was very little division across the House about the need for something to be done. No question about that. The question arose about what should be done and how should it be done. So for people who have a view that this is a massive problem for the world to deal with and that we should be part of it, but don't necessarily agree with the steps that were being proposed by others in the House, then it becomes, I think, unacceptable when people who have participated in a debate with predominantly the same opinion held on all sides of the House, there is then some insult offered to part of the House because they are not prepared to follow a particular course of action. That, I think, in the context of that debate was completely unacceptable. And I've got to be quite straight up with you. I personally found it deeply offensive. The Honourable Lee Jackson.
Speaker, speaking to the point of order, Mr. Speaker, with respect, I think, Mr. Speaker, this is outrageous. I ask you with respect to reconsider this, given that you have kicked me out twice for calling another member a liar, and then I've been out of the House for less than 30 minutes, and you gave a direction that I could come back into the House. Mr. Speaker, we need some clarity on this. This is incredibly unfair that I can call another member a liar, rightfully get kicked out of the House and asked to come back into the House within half an hour, no apology required. So I did not apologise. I did not apologise, and I would never apologise.
We're not having...
Thank you very much. And I'd be happy to repeat what I said again, if you like, Mr. Bishop.
Just a minute.
But I'd ask you to consider this, Mr. Speaker. No, it's not a laughing matter.
No, well, don't exacerbate the crime in hindsight, is all I would say. And there is a point where things change. I'm speaking. They will sit down. There's a point where things change, and I've reached the conclusion that we have so many threats and other stuff being directed at members of Parliament. If we don't change behaviour in here, nothing will change outside. So that is part of my rationale as well, and I made that very clear at the Business Committee yesterday.
New point of order.
David Seymour.
Speaker, I hesitate to prolong this, but I think it's important that when you ruled that the member should leave for the week, she said gladly. She herself has accepted it, and you can't have the theatrics of doing that and then complain about the ruling.
Okay, very good.
New point of order.
No, look, we are going to close this down.
This is a new point of order.
One more point of order. Debbie Naurua-Paka.
Point of order. Your Speaker, I understand the need for you to make a ruling on what you find offensive. As Honourable Winston Peters has alluded to, there were many of us that were offended by the cunt word. But what I do want to be able to assure is that spineless is a word, and it looks like the ruling is a political suppression. And we do need to make sure that what the member was doing was speaking out about human rights, and we do not want to be a House that's making decisions that are suppressing an opinion on the rights of Palestinians. That's what the debate was about.
I'm sorry, that's not a point in this discussion. There is no question in the heads of almost everybody in this House that there is a tragedy of humanity taking place in Gaza at the present time. In my opinion, most of the House would agree with that. But then to take it further and say that unless there is agreement over a private member's bill, then members are acting in a spineless fashion. That's not acceptable. I won't accept it. Last one, Ricardo Mendes-March.
This is a entirely new point of order. Mr. Speaker, I would like to seek clarity over a letter that we sent on the 3rd of April in relationship to a potential breach of privilege amounting to a contempt. This is in relationship to the Right Honourable Winston Peters saying, and I quote, "The number of frauds committed by the Green Party in the last election know no bounds." We haven't had any resolution or communications in relationship to the outcome of this. And I raise this because I have concerns over the speed in which rulings like this ones are made and the harsh consequences that come with it over, for example, quite serious and, in my view, obvious breaches of the rules in the House that can be left unresolved for months.
Two very different matters. One was here in the House, the other was retrospectively referring to a matter in the House. And also I will take particular responsibility for ensuring that that matter has had the due action and should have been conveyed to you. I think I have actually done something with it. It may not have made its way to you. My apologies for that. A new point of order?
Go.
Dr. Lawrence Sunan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to seek clarification from you regarding the decision you just made.
No, well, that's not a new point of order.
No. The point of order is around the interaction between Standing Orders 92, 94, and 90. The suspension of a member is under Standing Orders 92.
Sorry, the member will resume his seat. The matter is dealt with.